Oh no. Oh no. Oh. Hello everybody and welcome to the Cosplay 101 panel. It's so good to see everybody here. I'm going to bring in the panelists now. Let's see. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm bringing them in.
Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Oh, I didn't mean to be so big. Okay, here we go. This is not the Jennifer show.
Hi everybody.
All right, perfect. Thank you all for joining me today at this panel. So this is Real Quick Cosplay, a Chicagoland cosplay group. I'm so happy to have them here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Let's see. But I have some graphics to show, and then I'm going to give you guys questions, and probably pop myself away so that our frames are a little better. Okay, cool. But I'll come back. All right, awesome. So who would like to start? And let's start with A&D cosplay? Or is it and cosplay?
Either way.
Okay, perfect.
And then everybody said and, so I roll with and.
Perfect. So let's go down the list, and then I was going to ask how you guys got started in cosplay, maybe what your favorite cosplay you've ever done is, any of that sort of welcome stuff. All right, take it away.
All right, I'm Ashley, aka and Cosplay, and I've been cosplaying for 4 years. I got started because I was invited to my first Comic-Con with a friend. She wanted to cosplay for the first time, but didn't really want to do it alone. So as an artiste, I jumped on the opportunity to sort of make something and bring a character to life. I actually cosplayed as Jyn Erso from Star Wars since Rogue One just came out. I made some things myself. I purchased some pieces. I got way more involved with it than I thought I would. So by the time we entered the convention, I was like hooked for life, and the rest is history. And my favorite cosplay I've done so far is my Winter Soldier, just because I love my shiny arm.
And I'll pop that on the screen. And that's all of your socials. Is that the right word?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to go in alphabetical order. DCW Builds. David, you're next.
All right. My name is David, otherwise known as DCW Builds. I've been cosplaying since around 2015, so about 6 years. But going back, I used to make props out of like cardboard and duct tape, like back in like 2008 or even earlier. But how I got started, I was going to the superhero bar crawl event, and I wanted to go as Tony Stark or Iron Man from Iron Man 3, where he's got like just the arm, just the leg, and like the hoodie, because I figured that'd be easy. And I wanted to find some good-looking Iron Man templates, and then I found out you can make a whole suit. And then next thing I know, I'm walking around C2E2 in a full Iron Man suit, and I just can't help myself from making more. Favorite cosplay would either be my Iron Man Mark 85 from Endgame, or my Boba Fett, which I am currently wearing because I just got back from a photo shoot.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Dr. Lindsay Strange, you're next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Lindsay Strange, or Lindsay. I have been cosplaying since 2015 after being invited to my first con. I mostly just went because, I mean, it was with an acquaintance and I got to go for free. So I went like not really knowing what to expect, but it left me feeling really inspired to just dive in however I could. So I did closet cosplay for a few years after I attended my first con, and then decided to push myself to attempt my Doctor Strange. And so seeing other people that I knew participating in cosplay just got me curious to try, and just to try to learn new things as well, to learn just different ways to be creative. I've always been involved in a lot of different fandoms. And as a kid, I loved Halloween and dressing up and did theater and stuff. So I loved, you know, all those kinds of elements that just kind of led into it. So seeing that cosplay was another way that I could love those fandoms and those characters even more just really made me want to try. So my favorite cosplay that I've ever done is my Doctor Strange. This is the one cosplay that I will never, ever retire. My Doctor Strange is still the cosplay that required the most effort for me, but also involved the most love because Doctor Strange is a character that I deeply connect with and is just really personal to me. So the whole experience was a labor of love. So every con that I go to, I'll do Strange at least once.
That's awesome. Okay, so I forgot how the alphabet works, which is really good librarianship. Taking it back, let's go to Sarah from Dang Cosplay. Oh, Sarah, you're muted.
Should have put my cosplay name first. Sorry for confusing that there.
It's fine.
I'm Sarah of Dang Cosplay. My first convention was in 2015, so about 6 years like David. I got interested in cosplay because I just really loved Halloween. Every year I would plan 3 different costumes. And then someone was like, have you heard of conventions? You can dress up like all the time. And I thought that was so awesome. So my favorite costume that I've made so far is Egret, which was pictured in that slide there. I made every single piece of that from scratch, from the bow down to the boot covers. So I'm really proud of that one.
That's amazing. Okay, next in the alphabet is Lucky Elephant Cosplay.
Hi, everyone. I am Justina, otherwise known as Lucky Elephant Cosplay. I have been cosplaying for about 8 years, or since about 2013. My favorite costumes, it's hard to pick, but I would say the one that I am currently in is my Porg. This is probably the most comfortable cosplay I have. I also really love my Esmeralda from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. But definitely the Porg is the most comfortable, and it has pockets, which is a huge plus. What got me into cosplaying was I'm a huge fan of Halloween. My birthday is right around there as well. So getting to dress up for Halloween has always been a huge part of life for me. And when I realized what cosplay is and kind of feeling like you can dress up year round like it is Halloween every day, I was sold instantly.
That's such a good point because Halloween is my favorite holiday, and that is kind of the dream. Okay, and finally, Magically Phoebe.
Hey everyone, I'm Phoebe. Thanks so much everybody for tuning in. So I've been cosplaying for about 7 years now, but I didn't start doing it consistently until around 2017 or so. I already loved putting together costumes for Halloween, and I was already painting things for costumes like an Incredibles logo or a Supergirl logo on a t-shirt. And one day I just decided to piece together Winter Soldier cosplay because I was going to meet Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. So I made my own Winter Soldier arm out of duct tape. So this took me like 8 hours. I just started off with a leather jacket, stuffed it with blankets so it'd be nice and stiff, and then covered it in shiny silver duct tape and drew on the lines from reference. So this was like the first thing that I ever really made, and it's kind of beat up now, but I'm still very proud of it. So yeah, my favorite cosplay that I've ever done is probably She-Ra, which you saw in my photo. It's so comfy, and I feel so powerful and proud when I'm wearing that. And the sword that I had was the first big prop that I ever made. It is my baby, and I totally recommend trying taking the dive to create something that intimidates you because I was so scared. You'll learn from your mistakes and grow as an artist. So yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, well that is everybody. I believe I did math correct. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna put this up on the screen, but I'll also end the panel. This is all of your socials, everybody on the panel's socials. So you can screenshot this or take a picture with your phone now, but also this video is live and it'll be saved on our Facebook and our YouTube, so you can always come back if you want to follow anybody who was featured on this panel. And you can also find them all at Real Quick Cosplay on Instagram, which is how I found them. And I just linked all their Instagrams from there. Awesome. So we are going to go through some questions, but at the end of the panel, if you have any questions, you in the audience, you can comment them on Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching, and I'll be able to pop them onto the screen so that the panelists can answer your questions at the end. But we are going to start with our first question, and that is, where do you get your ideas and how do you start once you have one? And I think I'm turning this over to Sarah first, right?
Yes.
Perfect. And I'll make you big.
Forget to unmute this time. So my ideas, I mean, it's pretty simple. It just comes from all of my favorite movies, games, shows, comic books, like anything that you can think of, like, is going to count. A lot of things are no longer called Comic-Cons so much as pop culture cons. So, I mean, you can really find inspiration anywhere. It's all about kind of taking yourself out and putting yourself into the shoes of someone else, and be that someone that you look up to or someone that you relate to. That's a lot of the fun of cosplay. So once I decide on a character that I enjoy, I live and die by this app that is called Cosplanner. I can share what this looks like really quick. Let's see. Looks a little different than it did before. Share screen. Hopefully it's not the whole thing. I can share it in a tab. Sorry.
No worries. I was gonna say, I think it'll, oh no, this is my fault. I have to apply it to the stream. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Nice, we got it. So cosplanner.com or .net is a perfect resource for setting up and planning how you're going to go about a cosplay. I was even saying earlier, I decide whether or not it's worth working on a cosplay based on this app, even because it can help you understand your budget. It can help you understand the pieces that it's going to take to make this. So basically you have like your purchased and the things that you're going to make. And then you can add tasks from there. You can add reference images so that you can see every different angle of the costume. Basically just start doing some research and add it all into here. And it'll even, as you can see, there's different like percentages that it can help you keep track of where you're at. And it's just an absolutely invaluable resource that I cannot recommend enough.
That's so cool. I had no idea about that app. So I'm going to, I don't cosplay that often, but I'm going to download it for when, you know, we can go back to doing that. Okay, so next, we're going to hear from Lindsay.
So the majority of the time, I try to cosplay as characters that I feel like I have a connection with. This really helps me stay passionate and stay focused on seeing it through, especially when it gets challenging. So working on a cosplay of a character that I connect with just helps me grow that love for that character as I work on it, because I feel like I'm getting to know them better while I'm doing it. And once it's finished and I'm wearing it, like I said, it just helps me feel like I know them really well, like I can step into their shoes, and it's just a really awesome feeling and just feels just like an awesome accomplishment once it's complete. So when I decide that I want to cosplay as a certain character, I dive into whatever their media is. So their movies, their shows, their comics, whichever it is. And that's what I call my character research. So as I'm watching, I'll try to pause and capture different angles of their outfit and try to analyze as much of it as possible. So I'll take pictures for reference. I'll grab screenshots, whatever it takes. And then I also try to memorize their mannerisms as well, just so I can kind of step into that character a little bit more. So like when I was building my Doctor Strange, I watched the movie over and over and over again and tried to practice his movements as much as possible when he was casting spells and things like that, all the while sewing and working on the other details. So that just really helped me to have a starting point, not only with building the costume, but also just diving into the character even more as well.
The first time I ever met you was when you came to our tiny Fandom Fest a couple years ago, and that was something we couldn't get over at the time. We were like, how does she have all the same mannerisms? Like, we were very impressed.
I've probably watched the movie over 100 times by now, honestly, so lots of practice.
That's amazing. Okay, same question for you, Ashley. How do you get your ideas and how do you start once you have one?
All right. So sometimes I'm really inspired by a character or relate to them, but other times it's not quite as deep, and I just think their costume looks really cool and want it for myself. But before I get started, I've not done a good job of this lately, but I try to wait and plan a little bit before jumping in, so I'm not spontaneously committing to something and get bored of it and just have a bunch of unfinished costumes, which I have like 3 right now. But I always kind of like to start by searching tags on Instagram and Twitter to find other people who have cosplayed the same thing that I want to. This kind of gives me a good idea of like what it could look like in real life, especially if it's an animated character. I could see things I like and maybe things I would do differently. But sometimes I'm most focused when I start with a sketch, especially if I'm doing like a gender bent cosplay or I want to change up some parts of the costume to fit me better. And you don't even need to be good at drawing to do this, the sketching. There's even templates online that you could trace and sort of draw your costume idea onto it. It's just a good starting point to start a plan and maybe plan fabrics and budgets and things like that.
Awesome. Oh, I'll move you from solo layout. Okay, cool. And last person for this question, David, we'll hand it over to you. How do you get your ideas and how do you do them once you get started?
All right, where do I get my ideas? So I really just choose if I like the character or not. And usually, as I'm going through, I try to think and consider if it's even feasible to do. Like, will I have to build stilts or something to be able to make this happen? I don't know. But I'll gather a ton of reference photos. I'll see what other cosplayers have done. I'll look at the hashtags and other posts, and then I'm exposed to a lot of people who make props in like the screen accurate ways and the proper, like the way they're done in the film. And I try to use that not to necessarily make them exactly the same way, but to capture the essence of however they were made. So I get the right look, but usually cheaper and more practical. When starting to cosplay, because I mostly make armors and such, I always start with like the chest and then work my way out to the shoulders and to the abs and downward. Because those are going to be like the most visible pieces besides your mask and your helmet. But you want to get the sizing right because they're going to influence everything. Whether you're working with foam using Pepicura or 3D printing, you're going to want to scale the pieces to fit your body. And to do that, it's easier to work in percentages. So you really want to keep everything in proportion. If your chest is 130%, then your abs and shoulders should be 130%, or at least close to that number. That way, everything's just nice and easy. Everything fits together nicely. It looks right. Because the reason why I don't do the helmet first, if you do that first, you might end up looking like a bobblehead once everything's put together. But there isn't really a right or wrong way to do it. It's just doing it the way I do it just helps me avoid making mistakes.
That's really good advice. I never even thought about like where to start in the actual costume. All right, so let's move on to our second question. And this is I feel like a very common question for people who want to start cosplay because they feel a little nervous. Do you need to know how to sew or be crafty to cosplay? And I'm going to send that question to Justina.
So I think cosplay is as complicated as you make it out to be. There's nothing wrong with buying a costume if it means it's going to cause less of a headache for you. Cosplay is just about having fun. And if you feel pressured into making something from scratch, then you may not enjoy your experience as much. However, as someone who's been sewing since I was a kid, I do feel like sewing is just a great skill to have. It's a good thing to learn. It's a great hobby. And to me, there's something really fun and special about being able to tell somebody, I made this, what I'm wearing. Yeah.
Let me ungiant you. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna send that same question over back to you, David.
All right. I definitely second that whole skill. Sewing is a great life skill. I've repaired a bunch of pants and other things just from knowing that. But do you have to be crafty or know how to sew? I'd say not at all. mean, first of all, you can buy a piece or an entire cosplay if you wanted to. Really, it's all about fun. Second, I have no idea what I'm doing sewing. I'm sure most of the people in this group would have slapped my hands if they saw how I assembled this Boba Fett vest. And then when it comes to foam templates, if you can cut out shapes and trace them, that's like half the battle. And from there, it's like assembling a 3D puzzle. You just glue them back together. And a lot of times the templates will have numbers or little hash marks where to line them up. So it takes a lot of the hard work out of it. And once you paint it, no one's going to know that you had numbers. But really, you can start wherever you want. I started with cardboard and duct tape. And you grow your skills as you go, as you do more things. My first Iron Man helmet looked like crap. Second one looked a little bit better. Third one looked a little bit better than that. And you just go from there and build your skills.
That's very good advice. Okay, same question for you, Phoebe.
Almost spoke without muting there, my bad. But yeah, thank you. So I would say not at all. Buying cosplay and props is a great way to make your cosplay look exactly the way that you want it to. And you can usually support small creators and some businesses this way, maybe some people you know. It's fun to learn to craft, though, I will say that, like just experimenting with it. I like to experiment with making props and, you know, headpieces, stuff like that. A good base point is to try making something out of craft foam, like not EVA foam, the dollar sheets that you can find at craft stores. I've done that before and it works just fine to start, very cheap. And if you need more, you can totally buy more. So you can print out a template online, just Google something like WandaVision tiara or something, and you can usually find some easy free templates to print out at home. You can make bracers, tiaras like that. I made, where'd it go? My She-Ra tiara like that. I just printed off a template free from online, and this is just craft foam. So yeah, I promise you don't need to know how to sew or be crafty, but don't be too intimidated. It's easier than you think. And once you get started, you can just keep going. So yeah.
My face. That tiara is so good. I love it.
Thank you.
So I see some questions in the chat, but I will get to them. I just wanted to let you know that I haven't forgotten you in the chat. We'll go to those at the end, but going off of buying craft foam, things like that, I will move into our next question, which is, how can you cosplay on a small budget? And is it possible? And I'm going to ask that one of Lindsay.
So yes, it is possible. So for cosplaying on a small budget, thrifting is key. If you're working on a closet cosplay, which is when you're just assembling articles of clothing without having to do much sewing or altering, you can get really lucky finding what you need at different thrift stores. For example, my Wednesday Addams was in the fashion show, and that was pretty much entirely closet cosplay. The dress that I used, I found at a thrift store for $3, and all I had to do was add the buttons to it. So it's definitely possible. Knowing where sales are happening is important as well. My Doctor Strange was my first cosplay that wasn't a closet cosplay. And so when I began working on it, I went and signed up for emails from all of the different local craft stores so that I could shop sales as much as possible. So like places like Hobby Lobby, they often have a coupon where they'll send you a 40% off coupon every week, and you can actually use it like every day of the week. You can use it as much as you need. So this really helps when trying to stick to a strict budget, especially since a lot of the craft stores, again, like they'll send you coupons all the time for different things. And so you can just eyeball that and make a plan for yourself for how to shop and how to spread that out so that you're not overextending yourself from where you want to be in your budget.
That also works great for librarians, I will say. We're obsessed with the 40% off coupon at Michael's. So moving on to Sarah, same question.
Yeah, so I think just kind of echoing the thrift store suggestion, absolutely. I tend to start there as well. It's a good way to save money and promote sustainability if we're not like starting new with fabric and things like that. It's existing materials, which can be a really fun way to kind of like repurpose and slightly alter some things. And kind of going back to the last question, even like this full cosplay, I didn't make a single part of this. I bought this dress from Hot Topic. It's like a merchandise type thing for Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. and Amazon for the headband and wig. So it's totally acceptable to, like, as Phoebe said, get exactly what you want already made. And it was probably more reasonable than it would have been for like materials that I didn't have to like start over with this dress. So that's definitely something to consider. Again, thrift stores, recycled material shops, estate sales, garage sales, that kind of stuff can all be really great resources for finding ready-made pieces, as well as like fabric and weird odds and ends from like hardware stores, places you wouldn't necessarily consider for cosplay, because it's not you don't think of a hardware store necessarily the first thing when you're thinking of a costume. So important to keep those kinds of resources in mind. Also, just finding friends that are into the same kinds of things. They'll have a lot of like the materials that they bought once and only needed a little bit of, so they can give you some of it, as well as like even full costumes and pieces. I remember going to cons and sharing hotel rooms with people and being like, oh my God, I forgot this thing. And they're like, oh, I have it. So it's really important to like get involved in the community and have like resources available to you, all the way up to full costumes. I've like shared full costumes with my like traveling sisterhood of the cosplay, we call it. So yeah, get creative, do your research. The first place that you find a material or a piece may not be the cheapest. So it's worth taking your time and kind of doing some planning ahead of time.
I've definitely never thought of a hardware store as being a place to get cosplay material, but that's a great point. Okay, so same question for you, Phoebe.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I totally think that you can cosplay on a small budget, but make sure that you note how much that you can spend and use that as a base. So one option, it's been said, but I'll say it again, is to thrift your items. If you have the time, like to actually search for the pieces that you're looking for, you can check sites like Poshmark, eBay, or Depop for pieces that you need. Everything that I'm wearing except for the wig was thrifted. This I styled myself because, I don't know, thrifting wigs you can do, but it's probably not as easy to find what you're looking for versus the cosplay pieces. So I do have some other sites that I recommend to help you find screen accurate clothing. So let me go ahead and share my screen, see how that works. Fingers crossed. Okay, I think that worked. I think that you should now see on the screen.
Fair, okay.
You should see shopyourtv.com. So this is a site that I really like looking at. You're looking at the WandaVision stuff that they have. So if you want to find something that's screen accurate or close to it, this is a great way to do that. And if you like hover, they have so many different shows that you can look at. So this is one option. You could also do Worn on TV, very, very similar website, but there might be different shows. Stranger Things is on here. So if you're looking for something screen accurate, you can check a site like this. And then the other nice thing with that is if you don't want to get one of those screen accurate pieces, you can use these as base pieces so that you can find things that look similar, but still have a really, really good point of reference so that you can say, okay, it needs to look exactly like this color, this length, etc. But don't be afraid to treat yourself to a focus piece or two. And then if you are looking for a suit for like Spider-Man, because who doesn't want to cosplay as Spider-Man? I recommend this site, Heroes Time. I've gotten a Deadpool cosplay from this site that was $45 and it lasted me for years. So for example, here are some right here that are around that range. It's totally feasible to do something like this. So yeah, can totally cosplay on a budget. And stop sharing. There we go.
And then I put you back on screen for a second on accident. I've never heard of Heroes Time. That's really cool. I use Worn on TV all the time when I just think something is cute. And then often it's like $85, but it's still, sometimes it's a great resource. So Sarah was talking about meeting up with people and sharing costumes. And so that actually leads really well into our other question, which I'll actually send it back over to Phoebe first. But the question is, how do you and can you connect with other cosplayers? And I'll send that back to you, Phoebe.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I am totally a people person, but I mostly connect with people over Instagram by following them and just engaging with their content in really simple ways. You can comment nice things on their posts like, wow, I love this cosplay. Your love for the character really shines here. And you can also get inspired by those kind of challenges that roll through, like the cosplayer versus character one. And where was I? Sorry, I wrote this down so I wouldn't forget anything that I was talking about. But you can get inspired by cosplayers that you're following on there too. Of course, you don't need to look just like the characters for your cosplay to be good, so don't pay too much attention to those challenges like that. Don't let it impact you. The whole point, of course, is to have fun and to love what you're doing. And the other way that I connect is simply approaching someone at a con, telling them that I like their cosplay. Easy as that. You can sometimes ask how they've made certain parts, because not only is that good information to know, it's also just another nice way to connect. And then you can ask if it's okay to take a photo and tag them on social media. And then that's another little connection. And everybody who's in this, I've met at cons. And I think that's kind of incredible that there have even been cons that we were all at the same time and didn't even realize that we were there together. So yeah. Just like I said, I'm a people person, but the more you talk to people, the easier it gets, I promise.
That's very good advice. Justina, same question to you.
Sure. So a little bit of piggybacking off of what Phoebe had said about approaching people at conventions, C2E2 has some awesome, already kind of built into their scheduled type meetups and photo shoots for people who like certain fandoms like Marvel, Disney, DC. I think Outlander was a popular one a couple of years ago. So I've gone to a couple of those and met some people there. It's just a great way to bond in person when we can do that again with people who share similar interests. There was actually, I guess, a couple of years where Phoebe and I, as she was talking, we were in the same room, same group, had no idea who one another was. It wasn't until about 2-3 years later that we finally put 2 and 2 together, and here's a photo of the two of us mere feet away from one another. So I definitely like the in-person aspect again, once we can do that again, of networking with people.
That's so funny. That's really kind of great too, because I feel like there's so many pictures taken at cons that you can go back and look and be like, oh wait, look who's in the background. Okay, so same question for you, Ashley. How do you connect with other cosplayers?
Obviously, social media is a huge tool for connecting. And it isn't required, but it's actually super helpful to make your own Instagram page that could be just devoted to your cosplay. Then it makes it a little easier for searching tags, linking up with other people on Instagram, commenting, just as the others mentioned. But in this COVID world we have right now, TikTok has actually been a really great outlet for cosplay, since we can't really get together and cosplay in person. At least on TikTok, we could duet other cosplayers, connect over our favorite characters and shows, sort of all in a new way. I actually met a group of cosplayers on TikTok where we all like and play Fortnite. We ended up making a group chat on Instagram, so we'll like kind of sometimes play together. We actually planned some costumes together that we could just put together real quick on TikTok and duet each other with. I haven't met any of them in person yet, but we're kind of hoping that when conventions come back, we'll get to actually meet each other.
And until then, we have virtual panels to talk on. Okay, same question for you, David. How do you meet other people?
Yeah, I definitely second the social media. Instagram helps, and I would say Facebook groups are an even better resource. I'm a member of the Iron Man builders, Mandalorian cosplayers, Boba Fett cosplayers, Batman cosplayers, and a bunch of other ones. And people will post links to finished pieces that you can buy, or what raw material they're using, or which files and templates, or just they'll ask for troubleshooting. Like last year, I got on the phone for like 2 hours with a guy from the Iron Man group to walk me through programming my Arduino to program the faceplate on the helmet. And people are just very helpful in that manner. I would say don't be afraid to ask people how they did certain parts. Like if someone's cosplaying something that you're working on or you want to, and you want to know what boots they're using or whatever, feel free to ask them. And most of the time they'll reply back, tell you how they did it, or give you a link of where they purchased it. That's what I got.
That's awesome. Even from far away, it's like the same energy of being in the same hotel room and then passing each other supplies. I think that's beautiful. Okay, so we're actually at our last question for the panel, and then we'll move on to the audience questions. And this is actually for everybody, but we'll start with Ashley again. And it is, what's your number one tip for people who are beginning cosplay?
YouTube. Literally everything there is to learn could be found on YouTube. I learned how to sew on YouTube and pretty much everything I know how to do in regular life. It's worthwhile to watch other cosplayers work on there. Even if they're working on a costume you have no plans to make, you'll see some like really cool tricks and techniques you could always use for yourself.
That's very good advice. I use YouTube a lot for everything, truly everything. Okay, same question to you, David.
So my number one tip, I'd say be safe, wear PPE, wear safety glasses, wear a respirator if you're working with fumes, wear gloves, work in ventilated areas, or use paints without fumes, avoid burns, cut safe ways so you don't get any injuries. It's not worth getting hurt for a cosplay. It really isn't. You don't want shards of foam or plastic getting in your eyes or in your lungs or anything like that. But really, don't stress too much about your cosplay. You'll get better as you go. And I guarantee that people aren't going to notice all the flaws that you know are there. Like, because they're only going to see like it as a whole. They won't know that it's being held together by duct tape and a little bit of glue.
That's didn't even think about the health advice, but a very good point. As somebody who's accidentally probably poisoned themselves with E6000, good advice. Okay, same question to you, Lindsay.
My number one tip is to just start. Start literally anywhere. You don't have to go big on your first cosplay. I attended my first con in a TARDIS dress that I got from Hot Topic, a bow tie, and carried around a sonic screwdriver just because I wanted to go, but I didn't know where or how to really start working on any specific character. And I was amazed even in that, just by the amount of support from people at the con. Like, I still had people coming up and being like, oh, can I take a picture with you? And to me, it felt like the simplest little thing that I threw together, but people were still so encouraging. So anywhere is a good start. But, you know, just from working on that and choosing to participate, it got me so excited and inspired to dive in. And so if cosplay is something that you want to do or you're curious about it, you don't have to follow any kinds of requirements to get started. The experience of cosplay, while it is very collaborative and community-based, is also deeply personal to each individual cosplayer. So any requirements that you feel like you might have to meet are purely your own. So choose your own beginning, push yourself to learn new and different skills, and grow however you see yourself growing in it. The key is that you just have to start.
I love that. I'm not joking when I say it's very inspirational. Okay, same question for you, Sarah.
My biggest suggestion is to just choose characters that you love. A big part of it for me is to just like connect with a character that, like I said before, either I relate to or I look up to, and to kind of step out of my own shoes and into someone else's. That's a lot of the fun for me. And I think Lindsay mentioned earlier that she watches like Doctor Strange, like while she's working on her Doctor Strange costume. It's really fun to just like immerse yourself in that universe and kind of like learn more about that character. And that can be a tribute to a character that you want to learn more about. Like Ashley said, like you don't always have to choose it because you already know that much about the character. But I do think it is worth noting that like people will be excited to see you and relate to a character that they love as well. So like there have been times that I didn't know a character as well, and someone was like, oh my God, I love episode 3 of season 4, and I'm like, yeah, that one for sure. So like it's worth noting that like people will be excited, and like you need to be kind of prepared for that. But that's a lot of the fun too, is like it's a very welcoming community, and if you just say, oh, I don't know that one, or like, can you be more specific, like it's all about making friends and just nerding out about the same thing together. So just learn to love the character that you were in.
That's awesome. Okay, so same question for you, Justina.
Sure. So I have a couple of number 1 tips. It was hard to pick just one. The first being, cosplay is not consent. Always ask permission of a cosplayer, like to take a picture. If they say no, you got to move on. You have to accept no for an answer. And if you as the cosplayer feel like somebody might be harassing you or making you do something you don't want to do, find somebody, tell them about it, be it an adult or somebody that's working at the convention. Let somebody know so that that could be taken care of. My other tip is don't buy convention food. Bring your own food, and remember to drink lots of water and take lots of breaks.
Oh, I can switch to me. That's such important advice. I'm really glad that you said that. On both, I mean, the first one, but also convention food is also very expensive and not good. But last but not least, Phoebe, what's your number 1 tip?
Sure, thank you.
Nope. There we go.
So as intimidating as cosplay can be, there's no need to be nervous, I promise. If you're intimidated by sewing and crafting, try starting with a casual cosplay to start. It doesn't even have to be like Ramona is definitely a casual cosplay, but it doesn't have to be something where there are a bunch of pieces. You could just do an Avengers undercover look where you've got the baseball hat and some casual clothes, or a Disney bound where you're inspired by a character that you really love. Whatever evokes your favorite character, it makes you feel happy and comfy. That is what's important. Having fun is what's important. So starting off easy can definitely help you there in feeling comfortable and just feeling yourself, you know? Also, in addition to that, be sure that you have a friend with you. That can be really important, not just for safety, but also, you know, whether they're cosplaying with you or just there for emotional support, it'll make the experience even easier and fun. So if you're nervous, bring a friend. It'll be a lot more fun. So yeah, that's my tip.
There we go. Sorry, I keep clicking the wrong buttons. That's such great advice. Thank you so much. Those are great tips for beginning cosplay. We have about not too much time left, but I'm gonna move on to the audience questions. We have a really good question from the Leslie Show. I'll pop it up here on the screen. And it is it hard to do the makeup? And when you mess up, do you have to redo it?
I can start on this one. I literally knew next to nothing about makeup before cosplay. Cosplay has honestly helped me get better at makeup. So there are lots of things that you can do to practice. Like you can practice with a friend if you know somebody who is always on point. Just ask them for some tips. Just like Ashley said, you can go to YouTube. There are all kinds of makeup tutorials that you can do, whether it's for something specific like contouring or even for a specific character or anything like that. There are lots of resources where you can learn and try new things with that, or learn, what are the best products for this kind of look or whatever that is. So definitely lots of resources at your disposal. If you mess up, you can always redo it. And you can always practice too. Like when I was deciding how I wanted to do Dr. Strange makeup, since I'm not Benedict Cumberbatch. I had to be a little creative. I practiced so many times before I decided how I wanted it to look. So just, you can practice as often as you want. You can even bring stuff with you to a con. Like I carry a little leather pouch with me that has like backup lipstick or concealer or something like that. So you can be prepared for, if just the wear and tear of being on a con floor all day just makes you want to, freshen up a little bit. So lots of things that you can do. It's not something that you have to be intimidated by. So yeah.
That's great advice. Does anyone else want to add anything on makeup?
I was just going to say always do like a dry run if you're going to an event, because I always hate the first time that I do my makeup. Every single time, I always hate it. Whether it's like a simple thing or really, really, really complicated, like I don't know, like a pop art zombie that I did for a zombie crawl. Like the first time that I did that, I was like, the brushes are all wrong. All of the colors are wrong. I changed everything that I did about it from the first time to the time that I did it like in real life. So like always do a practice run. Can't recommend that enough.
Truly great advice. Okay, we also have another question on here from Paige. I'll pop that on the screen. Says, question for the panel, do you have any costumes that while building you thought wouldn't work out but actually turned out great in the end?
I'd like to start with this one just because this is my best friend. So hi, Paige. But thanks for watching, and her cats are also watching. So hello to Harmony and Melody as well. But to the question, I've definitely had cosplays that I was really, really, really nervous about. The fit was absolutely just off the charts, not good. And that was definitely my Elton John cosplay. You can see that at my Instagram. It's one of my favorites. It took me almost 70 hours. I hand placed and hand glued every sequin, and it was such a labor of love. And I tried it on and it fit like armor. I just looked so like stiff and goofy. But when I took off a few sequins and I put it on for the con, and I got so many wonderful comments, and I felt so confident and so sparkly and awesome that it ended up working out. So even though I had a breakdown over how, stiff and goofy I looked, it ended up working out in the end. I tweaked it a little and it wasn't the end of the world. So thanks for the question, Paige.
That's amazing. I feel like that goes to what David was saying too about like you are going to notice your mistakes so much more than people at the con. Does anyone else have a story about that?
I was going to say, I feel like every single one of mine, I feel is going to fail until I'm actually at the con floor and hoping that pieces don't fall off as I'm walking. I did want to briefly go back to the previous question. As a guy, I don't wear makeup. And so first time getting into makeup, did Darth Vader, like burned up under the mask Darth Vader, went full on in, learned a lot. Definitely going back to Ashley's point, go on YouTube. You can learn whatever you need for makeup. And then I just use a paintbrush because I don't own a makeup brush, but it works. But don't be intimidated.
Amazing.
So a cosplay that I was really nervous about trying was actually a mashup cosplay. So if you don't have a specific character in mind and want to try combining more than one character to kind of do your own thing, that's something that's really fun about cosplay, because you don't have to really follow any kind of rules or do any specific fandom. You can combine things and make it your own, and even sometimes do original characters, whatever you want to try. So the sky really is the limit. But I was super nervous about a mashup cosplay that I was doing with a friend. Our friend Jordan, Alucard1017 on Instagram, he's awesome. He had an idea to do a Star Wars and Tangled mashup that we partnered on. So he was Kylo Ren and Flynn Rider, and I was Rey/Rapunzel. So I was super nervous about trying out Rapunzel. I had never done a mashup cosplay before, but just had a lot of fun with the experience of just making something new and doing something different. Phoebe has actually also done a Rapunzel, and it's just so fun to see how ours are so much fun, but also totally and completely different. So you can really try whatever you want to try and make it your own. But I was nervous as all the pieces were coming together because, I love both characters so much, and, but it ended up being a ton of fun, and just all the little Rey cosplayers who were at the con at that time and like saw me and wanted to take pictures with us. And it was just really fun. So don't be afraid to try new things. Try mashups, try making an original character just based on something that you love. I feel like oftentimes we feel the con crunch if we're trying to get a cosplay ready for a con, and we get nervous and are afraid that it's not going to work out. But then all that matters is that you're having fun doing it.
Honestly, some mashups that I've seen at cons are some of my like most memorable cosplay. I think they're so fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did they think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. On the question, I just wanted to throw in that it's okay if it doesn't work out. Like there have been a lot of costumes that just didn't work out, and like that's okay. Like you can either pick a different costume, repeat a costume a couple days. Like not wearing a costume is really comfy at a con and really nice because you can like have a very different experience. So like don't beat yourself up if a cosplay doesn't work out. I think that's really, really important to note. You can always try it again. I've had horribly failed costumes that I tried again like years later and was really proud of. So like don't feel bad if it doesn't work out. It was a lesson.
That's very good advice. Okay, so at 5 o'clock they're gonna turn the lights off on me because the library closes. So we have time for one more question, and this is a really good one. I will pop it on the screen. Orvix Cosplay says, "What does everyone do about cosplay burnout and trying to get back into cosplay?"
Please pick me.
No, go for it. Go for it. Open answers.
I totally get the burnout thing, especially as like my full-time job during the day involves creating things as a graphic designer. So by the time you're done with your day, you are just like sometimes burned out of being creative. And I think the most important thing is like, you got to embrace the burnout. Not that it's like, yay, I'm burnt out, but it's like, I am burnt out like for a reason. I am just like lost my creative juices, and you can sometimes try to force it, but honestly, you're just not going to have fun creating things. Like half the reason we do this is because the process is just so fun and cool. And if you don't have that, then it's kind of like, why do it? Even though there are ways to kind of get yourself a little motivated again. I love just watching other people making stuff, back to that YouTube thing. Even scrolling on TikTok and Instagram and seeing what people are making, especially in this past year where it's like, I felt a lot of like, why do I want to work on a new cosplay? Because what's the end result for it right now? We don't know when we can meet up in person. But it's just okay to take a break for a while. Don't force it.
Mm-hmm. I like to stay busy. These porgs I make for a side hustle. So as much cosplay burnout as I have, I do have something that keeps me going, just so I can kind of stay fresh with my sewing practices. But burnout is real. Take a break, put the cosplay away, go pick up something else to do to take your mind off of what's going on. And when you feel motivated, it could be months from now, pick it back up and start small. Like Ashley said, we have no idea when in-person conventions are going to happen again. So there's really no rush. Take your time and make sure it looks really good.
Speaking of Lucky Elephant's side hustle, I'll pop this back on the screen real quick. I'll also end the panel with it, but check out Lucky Elephant Cosplay on Etsy.
Yes.
Get your own porg.
Real quick, sorry, not to make that joke.
No, go ahead.
I commissioned her recently to make me a decal for, I'm doing a 50 sock hop inspired Star-Lord cosplay. I know that's a lot of words in one sentence, but she made me this decal for the shirt that I'm going to do. It's going to be off the shoulder, but commission her. She's amazing. It's just such good work.
My porgs have made it to Switzerland and England, Disneyland. They actually met Chewbacca. And Ashley and I, we met Eunice, the newest Chewbacca in our porgs. So yes, I would love to add more to the flock.
That's amazing. Okay, does anyone else want to answer the burnout question before we end the panel?
I definitely have a so
ahead,
many
Sarah.
thoughts. This is like
Sarah,
the best time to be
go.
asking this question because we are all feeling this. Like we are all feeling this so hard. Of course, this is a question.
Yep.
This is the first time that I've been in cosplay in like 3 months. So like it's very real. Absolutely. The only thing that I was going to say was like choose something that you enjoy doing right now, because I found myself getting stuck on a lot of costumes every time that I tried to come back to it. And I realized that like I really hate gluing things. So like I was working on a lot of props and like I got to the point that like all there was left to do was to glue, and like I didn't want to do that. So of course I wasn't like sitting down to do it. So like once I started working on a sewing project and working on something that I enjoyed a little bit more, it got me back into the rhythm where I could go back and start working on some of the gluing stuff. So like recognizing what you like to do is really helpful.
I so agree with that. I just want to say do something kind of silly and fun if you want to get back into it, I did a Mothman cosplay for Halloween that was very silly, but it just involved a lot of painting on some wings. And if it's something kind of silly that doesn't make a lot of sense, I feel like that's more fun for me. Alternatively, just take it easy with something small. I painted what is this actually called? Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. A Walkman. Wow. I painted I swear, I'm 31. I know what a Walkman is. I painted this just for fun, and then now I'm doing an actual cosplay with it. So do something small and fun that just kind of keeps you doing stuff, because obviously burnout happens and I am very burnt out, but doing little things that are very easy and do not take a lot of stuff out of me is perfect.
And one thing I'd like to add, definitely take a break. Go do something else. Like I've started Twitch streaming because it's more fun at the moment. But and also my house is littered with half-finished cosplays or not even half-fit, like just various stages of production. They might be painted, they might be assembled, they might be whatever. But you can totally take this time. If you don't want to get fully into it, go try to troubleshoot something you did before. Like say the straps on your whatever were too loose, go resell that. Just like you can make those little upgrades that, because you're not rushing, there's no cons, so you can experiment. You don't have to. There's no deadline for anything, so you can do whatever and have fun with it. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's really good advice. I think we're out of time now. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. This was a great panel. My first panel, so it's only downhill from here.
Well,
You did great, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I feel like I learned so much. And thank you so much to all the audience that tuned in. I hope this is really educational. I'm sure it was, because I learned a lot. So I will stay on panelists, but I'm going to end the broadcast. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll throw this up first. Thank you again. I'll throw
Thank
this
you,
up.
guys. Thanks, friends, for tuning in.
Yes,
Hope
thank you,
everyone-
everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.
And here's the last slide. Okay, I'm ending the broadcast here. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
friends.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Thanks
you.
for tuning in.